Greetings, chaps. This episode of the Rhythm Pyro podcast is brought to you by the ultimate squishy yet oh-so-stable single-shot hold solution for the Craigco Mincom. Bose's 2.0 version of the meme-worthy one-shot ball is here, and they are better than ever. The new and improved one-shot ball is comprised of a brand new foam for maximum pliability. The new ball provides an astoundingly easy short seating experience and is compatible with all modern single-shot calibers up to and exceeding 40 millimeters. Yes, that's right, chaps. You will no longer find yourself exerting Churchill levels of force to seat the girthiest of single shots requiring a hold solution. Oh, and I would be remiss if I forgot to mention that One Shot Ball 2.0 is provided at the same cost as the original. I'm told you lot like to keep your money on the field. Do hurry along to bozie8823.com. That's BOZIE8823.com and start squeezing these balls into your Yankee American-made Craigco Mincom racks today.
I gotta make a footnote. We can't use any of this.
Well, makes it easy. Just don't use the first 30 minutes.
Yeah. Has it been 30 minutes? Holy shit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Well, it's 25.
And Nate's meat still not thawed out.
Okay, how many do you have on ice?
One now.
Of Nate's meat.
This one's got a warm spot right there. The rest of it's all frosty. It's too hard to put in my mouth.
Oh my God. That's the opening, right?
I guess I could suck on it.
Oh my God.
Blow on it. Use that hot air with your breath.
I could suck on it like a popsicle. It'd be a Nate meat popsicle.
I kind of want to talk about girth again. It was a funny episode.
I want to talk about gerbs.
Gerbs.
Is that a gerb in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? That just came to me.
Welcome to the Rhythm Pyro Podcast, where Bozie, AJ, and Jamie ignite your passion for pyromusical show design while testing the very limits of your capacity for stupid.
Welcome to the Rhythm Pyro Podcast. I'm Bo. That's AJ.
Hola.
And that's Jamie.
Hi.
We're hobbyist and semi-professional pyro show designers. We is
Emphasis
big fans.
on semi-professional.
Yeah. We're big fans of the modern pyro musical, not the old one. Our little podcast is a place where you can get together, talk shop, fireworks, art, shirt tips, tricks, news, and insights with you guys. Completely being facetious, by the way. For all the people out there they're like, he's so insensitive. I can't listen to this person.
What are we talking about?
Let's see.
I can't.
I love it when AJ just laughs.
Oh my God.
Patreon, go join the Patreon, patreon.com/Rhythm Pyro. As a supporting member, you're going to get elite status on the Discord, and you get access to the monthly bonus show episode available to Patreon supporters. Actually, that might be a lie. I need to take that out of the script for now, at least. I think we'll air the monthly bonus episode. The guests will come from the Patreon. And actually, since we're talking about it, we got a couple new Patreons this week. So I want to say thank you.
Yeah.
Please.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate the love, brother.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Let's see here. Where did it go? Chris, Rich, Mike, Martial Law, Pyro, Novice Pyro, Brandon, David, Nate, Canada, CJ, Jeremy, John, and AJ. Thank you guys for your support. Okay, what are we talking about this week? Good question. Product prostitution. I mean substitution.
We should make a twofer.
A twofer?
Yeah. I think it's something positive to speak about after here too.
After what? After product substitution? I mean, having taken a product and substituting it successfully, I've always felt like I achieved something. I did good, I felt.
I'm usually disappointed.
I meant something to get you in the spirit.
Me, you in the spirits. Or what do you? Are you huh?
Get you in the spirit.
Oh, I thought you were like wishing on crystals or something. What did he say? Did he just say he wants to talk to the spirits? I'm gonna get you.
The pyro gods.
Gotta get you out of the house.
Talk to the pyro gods.
Yeah, product substitution. So it's a tale as old as time. You hit your supplier up, you send them your lists. Oh, sorry, can't use this product because we don't have it. So we got to substitute something else in. Any kind of work that you do on the back end when you know that what you want isn't available, that's still substitution. So what do you guys like to do? How do you guys like to approach not getting what you want?
I just canceled the show.
I knew that was coming.
I'm done.
I knew it. As soon as he was at, I'm like, I know where this is going to go.
It's over, guys.
I think Jamie's real answer would be, I just buy a bunch more from somewhere else.
What did the Fawn say in Waterboy? I want it.
Well, you know what I did? And I had 4 cases of fallen leaves that weren't labeled correctly. I ordered 4 more cases that 3 of them weren't labeled correctly just to get 1 case.
How did you tackle that? Did you shoot the product and determine, okay, I used 1 cake out of however many were, how many came in the case?
So this particular thing is this is colored falling leaves, supposed to be 4 different colors. So 4 times 4, so 16 in a case, I think.
No.
How many is there? Is it 8 or 16?
Hold on, there's 8. It's 2 of each.
So there's 2 of each color. Yeah. So there's 8 in a case, 2 of each color: red, green, blue, and
yellow.
What is the other color? Orange or
in
yellow?
a perfect world. Those are supposed to be the colors.
Yeah, there's supposed to be 4 different colors.
Yeah.
But every single cake said multicolor falling leaves. And I'm like, no, that's not what I wanted. What do you mean? That's not going to work. I have this colored segment. I need blue. So I'm like, really? So I shoot the firework and it's, it was green or blue or whatever it was. It wasn't multicolor. And I'm like, okay. So I shot another one and it was like red. And I'm like, it was all red. I'm like, seriously, they're not labeled to tell me what color it is. So come to find out, all 4 of my cases were just mislabeled with multicolor. So I ordered 4 more cases, and out of 8 cases, I got 1 case that actually had the right coloring on them.
Oh, man.
So to use the ones I have now, I have to shoot 1 tube from each cake. And instead of it being a 16 shot, they're going to be a 15 shot.
Yikes, man.
It's pretty exciting.
You know what? I just thought about this. I wonder if you took the wrapper off. On some of the tubes, there's like a little sticker.
Apart, dude.
No, you don't take it apart. You just remove the wrapper.
No,
I've
I've
ever
taken
seen
it
that
apart.
when you're taking apart a cake. If you open it up, there's always like some kind of sticker with some kind of code on it that's on the tube. Like it's on 1 tube out of all of them.
Is it a skew?
Yeah, I've taken them apart, looked all over the place.
It's not a skew. It's just like a couple. Like it'll be like E08 or A10 or something like that. I wonder if that's like the product number for it.
Here,
kind of thing.
I'll send you all 8 cases and you can figure it out. Well, 7.5 now.
It costs you more in shipping than it would just to go in there and open them up.
We'll just drive down here and get them.
Yeah.
Pick up my trailer while you're here.
In your design, how did you have it laid out? What were the falling leaves doing during the design?
They were falling.
You don't say.
God.
Can you walk me through your site picture?
It was just, I wanted blue. I had other fireworks and I was trying to coordinate colors.
Yeah.
So there wasn't nothing special about it. It was a quiet, slow moment, but I was alternating. It was blue and green, if I recall. It was from a 4x8. But I had that going on. I had some shells going up that was just trying to pair the colors together, which is another situation on that same situation where I'd ordered variegated shells and I didn't get any variegated shells. So I had to alternate or substitute is the word with something else that I had ordered and, made it work, which, that was an on-site
Did they not have any, or did you run it? Was it a situation similar to the falling leaves where they came in, they were labeled as?
No, it was the wrong thing was loaded. A variety pack was loaded instead of a variegated shell case.
Oh,
so I had 3 variegated
gotcha.
shells, and then I had to alternate the other 6 or 7 shells. They were to replace the Dominator 62s that exploded on the ground because the lift charge was bad.
Yeah.
So I had substituted this substitute with a substitute. It turned out well, though.
That's crazy. I didn't realize that I didn't realize they did assortments on the 62s.
Mm-hmm. I used to.
I got to ask, was that user error during cart loading? Or how did the assortment make its way to your doorstep?
So, I think somebody just grabbed the wrong case. They read variegated and grabbed an assorted box instead of a variegated case.
Yeah.
I didn't even know there was assorted cases.
I know. That's what I was saying.
That's human error. Wasn't the end of the world. But the exploding variegated shells, that could have been dangerous. That's human error.
Yeah.
Wasn't the end of the world. But the exploding variegated shells, that could have been dangerous.
62 millimeter ground bombs.
I still got those.
We saved. How did you know? Wow, man, we netted so much more profit this year. How'd you do it? We just didn't load any lift. Saved a lot of money. The falling leaves sounds like a situation. It worked itself out, but it was just more of a nuisance.
Hassle.
Because you don't know what's what, especially if all of those same colors came in one case. You just bought more cases hoping that they'd be labeled?
Yeah, I thought they would actually be labeled. I didn't think 4 more cases would be labeled wrong. Came from the factory with the wrong sticker on them.
Bought them from the wrong place.
It's like those quarter machines at the Skyline Chili when you're trying to get that
I bought it
one
from 2 different places.
tattoo.
What about the tattoo?
I've spent $38 on these stick-on tattoos. I'm trying to get that one. The quarter machines, you put it in, you turn it, and it pops out in a little bubble, and you're like, damn it, that's not the one. It's not the one I wanted.
$5 and you don't get anything that you really wanted. You're like,
Mom, can I have another
ridiculous.
$1?
yeah.
Just $1 more.
Go to school the next day. Your
Just
whole
4
arm
more
is like
cases.
a sleeve.
Yeah. And you're still disappointed because you never got the one you wanted in the first place.
It's not in there. I know it's not.
Or
They just
better
stuck
yet,
it
you
on there for
finally
me to
get it
do
and you
it.
mess it up putting it on.
What are we talking about?
We shouldn't chase that rabbit.
Yeah, don't.
Let's see.
So I think when we were talking about doing this, I joked earlier. I'm like, no, I've never had to substitute anything.
I knew you were going to say that.
I know.
You were going to. I knew you were going to say that.
That's why I said that. I was like, I'm going to say it's just to fuck with them. And I have, but it wasn't ever really extreme. It's more of I had a gold Comet here and I switched it to a silver one because I didn't have the golds. And then I had to change, what was before that. And I just made the cakes in the show. I flipped them around so that they would fit in the right directions. That makes sense. The slices of the cakes I was using.
It doesn't even have to be a product now that you say that.
What's that?
I said it doesn't have to be a product when it comes to substitutions. I had to change angles in my show one year. I think we've all had to do that.
Good point.
Can't do a 75 degree. I can only do 55.
But he said product substitutions.
I guess the heart of trying to pass along usable quality information here is things are going to go wrong, and they could go wrong well before you ever get out to the field. And this is something that quite often goes wrong before you get to the field. If you didn't test those falling leaves, right? If you take somebody who operates, they get to a site, take me for example. If I would have been in your shoes, I would not have known that those weren't labeled until the week of the show, and it wouldn't have been until we cut into boxes and realized, well, these are all labeled multicolor falling leaves. How do you know what's what? So you have to be able to think fast and understand that, if you maybe don't spend a bunch of time testing product beforehand, or just, at the very least, cutting your stuff open, taking a look at it, that, maybe it's a good idea just to make sure it is what it is. And I'm sure that's an absolute outlier, right? That's something that I've in all the time that I've done pyro, that doesn't happen much.
No, but
thankfully,
that's just like saying though, like you open up the box and the box is fine, the labels and everything looks normal. Then you shoot it and you find out, oh wait, hold on, they changed it. Now this has tails, or this one doesn't have tails now, or like it was a meteor, now it's a comet. And it's like, because you really technically you'll never know until you either shoot it or you see it in your show and you're like, oh, well, that's not what was in the video.
Yeah.
Or you open up a box of red peonies and it has brocade inside of it. And you're like, is it red? Is it brocade? Where's it both?
Yeah, you don't know.
Red brocade.
Mislabel stuff at the Power Rangers show that happened with the meteors. Because I ordered a bunch of just a bunch of different colored meteors. There's it was the green ones, because I think we got them from the same Dominator batch that year. Every single meteor that I got to represent all the different Power Rangers and their colors, they all looked great except for green. Now, I guess it kind of worked out. It's uglier in sin unless you're a diehard Power Rangers fan and you know that the Korean Ranger is like, oh, he eventually became the White Ranger. He's got like gold and stuff on him. So the diehard Power Ranger geeks would have been like, yeah, that's cool. I understand why every single green meteor has a gold tail on it. But I'm looking at my show going, that looks terrible.
It was meant to do on purpose.
Yeah. But I think that might have been something weird with the composition when they spun those stars for the meteors, because they had a tail, but they didn't have a tail. It wasn't a blatantly obvious, super long tail. It was just this really short tail that had metals in it. But it was very noticeable. But that's a situation where I wouldn't have known unless I tested those. And even if I tested them, at that point, I think it probably would have been too late to do anything about, unless I could have gone out and sourced something else. But then I would have been in the same situation that Jamie was in, where it's like, okay, when I got all this extra stuff, where am I going to use it? I'm sure it would look great on a field where you have all of those same shots doing their thing, because you can create symmetry when you do that. When you take that product that all performs and burns the same way, then it's great. AJ, you deal with, a lot of the substitutions.
Hold on, do you hear that?
No, I don't. This is turning into the longest, shortest episode ever.
It went away. Sorry.
It was a buzzing sound. I heard
it's going to take me more time to find the usable content than it is to cut out the not usable content.
Well, this will officially be the show.
Just let it roll.
Unedited and raw.
Yeah. So I think because you're out in front of your workload quite a bit, any substitution
is plannable.
Yeah. If you can't get product, I'm sure you've been told at some point, like, hey, maybe this isn't going to be here. Pick something else. But at that point, do you design stuff into the show before you know you can get it? Or do you absolutely wait?
I've never truly scripted a show that I didn't know I had the product in hand.
22s.
Well, that's true. That's why I said I've never really. So there is an exception.
You both were fighting over that one.
But
we substituted 25s in the interim.
Wait, what?
25 millimeter mines.
For what are we talking
22s.
about? For what show?
Oh my God. When 22s were in question, we both substituted 25 millimeter mines just in case. But they only had red, white, and blue of them.
Okay. I think I remember what you're talking about, but
you're the one that told me about them.
Right. But that was all right. We were so far off this. It was because I thought they would fit in the wheel.
I'm going to start saying, okay, this question's for AJ. You go ahead, Jamie. Go ahead and answer it for him.
Exactly. Just trying to help him.
Well, I thought we were talking about for the wheel. No. We were talking about, so
you could absolutely 100% apply substitutions just to, hey, I wasn't shipped the product that I wanted for this particular spot. And then you have to work backwards. You got to kind of reverse engineer your workflow to try to figure out how to plug that in. But anytime something like during product sourcing, anytime that you may not be able to get something and you're trying to find an alternative solution to it, that still qualifies as substitution.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're still essentially solving a problem, but you're just solving it at a different point in time.
I mean, I guess I do that a lot. Even, like I said, I've done it where I've actually gone, I printed out the labels and I get into my product and find out my inventory numbers were wrong. And I'm like, I don't have enough cakes to do this. But for that particular moment, it didn't really matter truly on color. It was just more of like a fill kind of section. So I could just take another cake that I had that still had a rising effect and a decent break to it to fill those positions. And so I've substituted like that before, because that's, again, my own fault for when I used to just like never do inventory correctly.
When you finally get around to doing your inventory counts and you realize, oh shit, I don't have this. I guess go a little deeper into that piece, apply it to a very specific kind of product. You mentioned rising effects. So let's talk like angle cakes or something.
Yeah. So this was actually for Burn, that song I did. So that was that cut above cake that I love so much.
Yeah.
I was going to use that in the show, but then I ended up I didn't have enough of them because I didn't order any that year, or I had enough, but not enough to do the show I had to do later that year. So anyways, I took those out and I adjusted it with Dragon Strike. But then I had to change it because that cake is a mine, shells, kind of cake.
Yeah.
So I knew, all right, now I need more cakes for the same, because a cut above is 6 rows deep and the other one's 5. So you only get 3 shells. So I need 2 cakes to get the same amount of rows that I needed originally with cut above. So then I had to redesign that, I guess, show, but it wasn't too bad because all I had to do was go in, change those cakes, and then just add a few more cues in.
Yeah.
To add those mines in there. Because while I didn't have to use them, I mean, you can't help but want to use them somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I've come into substituting like that, but it's never been on site, I guess.
Well, no, and it's not like, don't think of it like that. Like think of it definitely broad term and broad spectrum. And I think that's why the topic suggestion makes sense for this point in time. Everyone's getting ready for the 4th of July show. So, they very well may have already experienced or have yet to experience a point where you're trying to source something. You don't necessarily either, you're not going to get something and you have to make a change to an existing design. But, like you said, with the differences between a cut above and Dragon Strike, you had to add more cues to achieve the same kind of effect, but you almost had to get creative with the way that the rows work with each other. Did you kind of alternate those? So you were doing like the mine rows. So you had the rising effect and then they ended with the shells.
So in that cake, so that's why I added this. So the cake, the mine sweeps. It's not like an instant kind of thing. Like it is, but it has that broom kind of moment to it. And so do the shells. So I use the mines to go off with the rising tail. So it was almost like a comet mine combo to a break. So, but I wanted to bring them in so that the way the mine went, that zipped a little slower than the shells. So I wanted to kind of have it so that it all laid across at the same time, or I'd zip it like a mine left to right and the shells right to left to hit like 2 quick beats. So it was like a zip kind of thing, but you could visually see it and it fit. So that's why I added those cues in there. Cause I was like, no, I have that extra, I have that extra ability to put something else into the show that's already there and I don't have to rip cakes apart.
Yeah. With a cut above. Cause I think that operates much the same way. You have your low level effect, your rising effect to your breaks. Did that change any creativity on the timeline? Do you feel like you needed to readjust any of the show's flow to account for the timing differences? Because a cut above is more or less all up at once versus...
So a cut above has a slight zip to it. Is not as noticeable.
It's real quick.
It's quick. But so like when I say a zip on a cut above's quick, it's almost instant compared to the other cake.
Yes.
So while like I said, I did have to change it where I was able to, instead of just, it's like on the one, right before you hit the first beat of the next, bar, there was always like a chunk, boom kind of hit. So I was able to hit that first beat going into that brought that extra bit of creativity into the show. But it didn't change it too much. And the beauty part about it is that cake compared to a cut above's 3 shots. It's 3 comets with 2 mines. So you have 2 mines in the middle, 3 comets going up to breaks, where Dragon Strike is 5 rows of comets to breaks. And then it has like green, blue, gold. So and those are the mines, but the mines are pretty big too. So the effects that able to give you was similar to that. While the colors were different, they weren't. So like in a cut above, you have red, then it goes green, brocade, and then it repeats itself with crackle. So the only thing that was kind of nice was that I didn't have as much crackle in the show because only 1 row of Dragon Strike had crackle. So I was able to use more of the other ones with non-crackle. So instead of having, 3 in a cake that had crackle, I only had 1. But the colors match because the Dragon Strike is red to white, like a silver maybe. I don't know. Yeah, I'm colorblind. Yeah. And then and then they repeat themselves again, kind of thing. So it stays in that same color pattern that I was in, because red goes with the brocade, red goes with everything. So that's why I used that cut above kind of cake, because red and they just go. Everything has a similar notion to it. It has purple. It has random colors in there that you can mix with everything else in your show or leading into your next run kind of thing.
Yeah. How long did it take you to...
I'm sorry if that sounded confusing.
No. It's not at all. It's not at all. My favorite part was the whole, hey, so how do you work about substituting something? I never had to do that.
I said I was
followed
joking.
by
That's
this
why
awesome,
I put that.
this really awesome example of when you had to substitute something. Yeah. How long did it take you to find Dragon Strike? Everyone's knowledge of the product that exists, it might be exclusive to what you know. You might just spend a ton of time on the internet looking for product, but kind of like we mentioned on Marcus's episode, the times that we've used him as a supplier, he was great. I know from my personal examples, when I couldn't get something, he provided me with a list of 2 or 3 things. He's like, take a look at this and see if it works for you. So how did you go about finding Dragon Stripe? It performs noticeably different than what you had in its place. Were you happy when you approached that cake and you're like, okay, I wonder if I can make this work? Or was it so far outside of like, I just can't get anything that's remotely close to a cut above that? So
what it was is originally I already had those cakes. So I saw that cake. I think me and Jamie were talking about that cake and we ended up ordering a bunch of those. Maybe. So then when we had them, I always kind of carry, I guess, with me, I always carry 2 cakes that have something similar to them, like rising effects, mines to breaks. So like 2 of every kind. If I can find 2 cakes that are similar in that same kind of nature. But in this way, I've shot the cake one time, but I've never really shot it in like a grand area. It was more like taking it to my buddy's house, being 100 feet back and watching it go off.
Right.
But actually watching that show now, I'm glad I used that cake because I think it to me, it looked way better in person for that show because the cut above kind of spreads out too in like a wider spread with those 3 comets to breaks. Mm-hmm. Where this is, it's more of an inward fan kind of thing. So they all stay tight. So it was nice when you have a smaller shoot site as well for at least what I shoot there. When left and right broke, before we're cut above the inner edge or the inner shots would pretty much break at the same point. These 2 kind of like broke similar to each other, but the stars would fly in the middle to each other. So it still gave you a little bit of a breakup in the middle. So when you went center and then out and then center again, it kind of, made it seem like there was actual spacing in that show.
Yeah. How big are the inserts in that on the breaks?
I want to say they're 30 as well.
They're 30 as well. Okay. So they probably break right in the same vertical.
Oh, yeah, the same that's what I mean. They have the same height, same everything. The spread's not as big, but it's more full, I guess. So like a cut above is 3 shots, and those, until you get to the crackle ones, they don't really blend together. Where all these 5 shots pretty much give you a full wipe in the sky of a full vision of color and what do you call that effect inside? It's like a brocade coconut kind of thing with the red stars in the middle. So looking at that effect, it's more filling in that sky for that section instead of seeing 3 smaller sections going off. Really, technically, when you're shooting left and right, you're only getting 1, 2. You're getting 5 shots in the sky. Where like with this, it looked like from one side of the field to the other side of the field was just a full wipe of that same effect.
Right.
So I said it. That's actually come one of my new favorite cakes compared to a cut above, only because of the mines in it. It gives you something else to use. It's another slice that's already there, kind of thing. And you can use that slice for all kinds of things.
Yeah.
I don't know, but that's how I came across it. I knew I had it, so it was either that or use something that I didn't want to use.
Because it can really change. I mean, if you don't necessarily know, depending on what time of the year it is too, it becomes substantially harder at some point to source.
It was 2 weeks before the show because when I started prepping all that stuff, and I was like, "Oh, that's not good." It said I had 8. I only have 5. I gave 1 to Jamie. I remember that.
Yeah.
Lies.
I wish I would have gotten one. It's a very pretty video. Wish I would have had one.
A cut above?
No, not a cut above. I got one bed.
That's what I was talking about.
So it's really funny that you talk about a cut above because the year that I thought I had leftover One Bad Piggies from Spirit for the lake show, and I love that cake. It's a really cool cake, but I didn't have any available. But I designed it in, and then when I believe it was when Dad went back to check inventory, he had a look and he's like, "Hey, I don't like," he'd write out the inventory and then he would always send me a text message with a picture of everything that he found. And I didn't see the one Bad Piggies on there. I saw them, but I did not see 3. I only saw 2 of them. And I need at least 3 to make that site picture work at the lake. And that was when I was like, "Oh, okay. This is not good," because I know, Spirit.
I need something in the middle.
Yeah, I needed something pretty quick, and I was still working. That was at the point of the year where I was still working on the design and the order. But because I thought for certain that I had those in stock, I designed them into the show. Now, the design never gets to a point because I know this stuff happens where I'm printing out labels and really kind of move into the logistical and like the actual prep work for the show. Like it never got to that point. It's design it in because I think I have it, or at least I know my supplier has something lined up and I have something on order for it. So I put it in the show. And then when I realized I didn't have them, that's when I kind of had to go back to the drawing board. And I think that was the year that Zombie Outbreak that's Marcus's, isn't it? Yeah, that's an epic cake. Zombie Outbreak was what I wound up substituting in place of One Bad Piggy because I couldn't get it. And it was a little different because it was a smaller cake and it didn't quite work the way I wanted it to work, but it still fit the bill, right? It was still an angle cake. It still had rising effects through the mid that M did with breaks. So it was something.
That wasn't Blinding Lights, right?
I can't remember.
I think it was because that was 20. It was 21.
When you guys came out and did prep work, do you remember seeing Zombie Outbreak? If that was on the board, then that would have been the year that I used it. Because I don't think I used it.
You didn't use the piggies though, right? Because I don't remember seeing that. Okay, so yeah, then that was 21. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. It was just in my head. I'm like, I remember that now. I just had to remember which one it was. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Continue.
Yeah. But I guess if I could pass along anything from that experience, it's if you know that you can get product and you know it's a surefire shoe in and you're going to be able to source it because it's in stock, then sure, design it in. But create some limitations for yourself. Don't let yourself get to a point where you're so confident before a show, unless you know you have the stuff sitting in your magazine or in your shed or wherever you store.
With the
unless
correct
you know
inventory.
that you have it, right, and you have access to it or what have you, then, you know, don't get to a point where you're printing labels and all the other stuff that could potentially bite you in the butt, because making changes after you get to certain key points on your timeline could cause more harm than they do good.
Or if you can afford it, always grab a secondary kind of case of something that's maybe something you haven't shot before, but looks similar. And then you always have that as like a backup for something.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, something with rising tails, something that has mines, something that isn't, you know, doesn't have mines or a break. It's just breaks. I mean, no mines or comments kind of thing. Always have like a backup cake kind of thing. Don't be afraid to, I guess like in my situation with that, what we were talking about earlier, it's, don't be afraid just to try something too, because you'll be surprised that there's a cake that might actually look a little better to you. And once you put it in a show kind of thing.
At that point, like, you're at a design change. You're at a crossroads where you're like, do I just add filler, or do I go and try to find something that I can that fits the verticality of the item so it performs and plays the same in the space? Best case, it seems like you get something that is going to fit that verticality and has a lot of the same colors. So, you know, you can literally just replace it, you know, after you do your lift analysis and stuff, and then boom, you've got something that fits
similar.
the bill.
I never thought about that. If you didn't have something, again, we're just going to stay with that, what we were just talking about, like something that has a lift effect to it. If you couldn't find a fan cake, like what could you do to make that same effect? And then it popped in my head now is, what about finding just a straight up cake that has a comment to a break, and then having to, you know, take 3 and angle them and then shoot them as singles all together at one time.
Yeah.
You know, making your own kind of similar, like in a pinch, you know, if that's what you got to do kind of thing.
Yeah. Really get creative and explore the space.
Hey, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, man.
Just start over.
Just start over.
It's like when we,
I quit. There's not going to be a show this year.
when we got to, God, it was last minute for that. Oh, what's the name of that cake? We did it at Keith's Camp for your show. It was a colored ones, totally something, totally jazz. That's what it was. I remember when you were like, how long does this last? And I'm like 45 seconds. You're like, whoa. You said 15 seconds. I'm like, we just got to match them all. Every row.
Yeah. It's a problem,
You
Harry.
said you had a cake that would work. This will work. We just
It's a
have to match
problem,
every row.
Harry. I took care of it. If you can add more cues to something that exists, I think your example with Dragon Strike is really kind of a perfect example for this episode, period, because it's not verbatim the same kind of cake. Sure, it performs somewhat similar in the vertical that it plays in. It has a rising effect, but in reality, it does not perform the same. You know, it's not, every single row isn't the same. It alternates. It doesn't have the same number of shots. So you used it in a way where you had to get creative with the matching of it. Now, it cost you more money because you had to buy more of them to achieve the same effect, since you were probably essentially, it sounds like you were shooting like 2 rows together to try to create the lift and the break. You were trying to create that low level effect with the mines, but then also put the breaks above it. Whereas the cake natively performs row of mines, and then you get a row of breaks, and then you get a row of mines, row of breaks.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's perfect, dude. That's a perfect example.
What about, so didn't you say you came across something like that? What's the show you did with OPEG? You said they sent you a bunch of stuff and it was wrong. Was it?
Might have been, some of the shell assortments are really So in the 1-3 world, the shell assortments are abysmal. They're really, really hard to. I think Octoblast, I think we had some of that going on. All throughout the day, the teams that were managing the 1-3 pods, like from the morning of the show, when we start dropping the 1-3 shells, the radio would just buzz, and then Logan would go, "Hey, this position says that it's supposed to have, this shell, and this shell, and here's all we have left." So it was one of those instances where you have to try to figure out, okay, does this mean enough to me for where those shells were performing in the script? Is it okay if the shells don't get super, super matchy with what's going on below it? Thankfully, like a lot of the 1-3 shells that Jamie and I had in that segment were bigger shells, and they were happening at a point in the show where there wasn't a lot going on around them. So they were kind of feature pieces. But like some of the smaller shells, it did happen with.
Because they were mislabeled, or because the assortment showed something and he didn't get what the assortment showed?
So the assortment list was different than what the labels said. So you would get like,
Gotcha.
You would almost be fishing for buzzwords. And I think this is probably something that's likely very relatable to anybody who uses 1-3. If you get it, which is why I think, to be honest, why a lot of these suppliers and vendors that vend 1-3, I think American provides assortment lists with what's supposed to be in the assortment, which is good because they can get you 90% of the way there. But if you get the assortment and then maybe 2 or 3 shells are not what they're supposed to be, those 2 or 3 shells or 4 shells or whatever it is in that assortment that are supposed to be one effect, but in reality, there's something else. But it changes things because you have to make a decision at that point. But you're so far along and you're on site and you're under the gun, you almost have to weigh the benefits of, what do I do? If it was a competition show or something, how do I figure out how to move some stuff around so this makes sense? And then the site pictures matching. But for Octoblast, I think what we just decided to do is whatever was left over, we did have one section that actually had some color to it, I think during Tim's show. So that was the only one that I was conscious about taking those shells and then making sure that, the stuff that was going off below it, I would think was red and gold with some of the slices that he had. We did have some extra, like not extra shells, but shells that just did not match the description that had red in them. And it's like, okay, that's what's going to go here. So that'll fill this queue, change the name of it, and then we're good to go. But then at that point, you got to tell the crew, hey, that shell, label it with this queue. So they pull that queue off of the sheet and make sure that it gets punched down to the right queue on the timeline.
Yeah, on-site logistics.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Not that shell, that shell.
Yeah. I think it's in the 1-4 world with the a lot of canister shells and stuff. I mean, like, it was kind of cool on the Discord server.
Yeah,
I think it was when Fred was like, yeah, I was like, what am I looking at here? These are really good. He's like, oh, these are labeled. They actually have effect names on them. Like, well, how about that? The worst was when we did the national anthem at the lake and the old Excalibur shells. They had the effect labels on the wrapper, and then you would shoot them and go, that ain't that. that ain't even close to that.
No, I think it was the only canister shells I think that actually matched were HD shells.
Yeah. And
what was the other one that they had? It was another big shell. Is that what they call it? Big shells?
Yeah. Yep.
And then so wait, Biggs is the company, right?
Well, Big is the company. I know what shell assortment you're talking about. I don't know what the name of the assortment is, but Big is the company that distributes it. There's like everybody and their brother has.
I know, but those actually matched.
Yeah, that's cool.
HD shells. So
I can't. And the lock and loads. I can't remember who.
Brothers? Is that Brothers?
Was it Brother? I don't know. I can't remember who did it, but the year that I didn't want to pay for Excals, I think we wound up getting lock and loads. I was really happy with those. Now, the only place that we would use those though was in like the national anthem in the intro at the lake. And that's really the part of the show it's like real slow and real methodic. So I like to look for the effects that have, a lot of hang time You know, I don't want the ones that are just going to break and it's going to be just a real quick burn and then out it goes. So that's almost like an exercise in logistics, because that piece of the design, I know it's going to happen every single year, but on the timeline, I almost always just put, 1 3/4 canister shell. And I know what the lifts are on those. So they go in. And then when I get on site, I either tell Dad or Eric or Nick, I'm like, you look in the canister shell stash and just look for something that is long burning, Nishikis, or I can't remember whose canister shell it was, but they're just, it was Raccoons. What's the name of the canister shell that Raccoons got? That's Nishikis.
Nishiki Blast.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
that's nice.
They got another one too, though. It's got a dragon on it. I can't remember the name of it now.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
I should be so lucky. Dad let me use those. Those were actually his. He wanted to use them in the finale, and I talked him out of it. I was like, "Oh, you're not going to be able to see them, man. That's just puke. That's just a bunch of sky puke in the shell finale that goes up. So just let me use him in the intro. You'll be able to.
Oh, he's going to know now.
See him. No, what happens is he forgets that I talked him into it one year, and then he comes back the next year, and he's like, "Where are my shells? Why don't I have any of these, Bo?" Well, don't you remember? You let me.
You know
I
what?
can see him doing that.
If I had to look this up because it was driving me nuts. I'm like, hold on. For some reason, Lock and Load, I was like, it instantly hit me. I'm like, that sounds like Brothers. But then I'm like, doesn't though. Maybe I'm thinking of another one. It's Heavyweight is what I was thinking of for Brothers. Okay. Lock and Load is actually a Phantom thing.
Phantom brand. I don't think I got those.
Lock and Load is a Phantom brand. All true. It even says here, Lock and Loads are actually a Fireworks Over America shell, aka Showtime.
I know they sell
it. Lock and Load. Canister
this is back
shells.
From 2015 too.
So I kept looking.
I'm like, this. I made a big mistake.
Yeah, I got those at Wholesale Fireworks Outlet in Cedar Grove, Indiana.
They can't
buy
them.
I was freaking out because I'm like, hold on a second. I can't have people thinking that I shopped at Phantom here.
Well, no, here. Well, so this actually, it's like a Phantom brand kind of thing, but it's I forget what the actual brand of it is. It's like their house brand. It's not Phantom. It's like another thing, but it's by FOA. Like if Google FOA 2970.
Yeah.
And then it'll show up.
That's cool.
God, hold on. I just saw it too. It was on the old, I went back to the old PU. I was on the Wayback Finder. I'm like, I know. I want to double check.
I want to make sure that the internet's not lying to me. Getting the Wayback Machine.
Oh, no. It says brand is Showtime, actually. But everything, It all pops up straight. It's on a bunch of websites. Anyway, so we're going way too far. I just saw it in my head. I'm like, I can't go with that. If I say Brothers and it's wrong, I can hear all the Phantom fanboys out there. No, man. No.
Yeah, I specifically remember saying, I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know. Cause we did, that was before, I think when we got the Lock and Load shells for the finale, that's when Dad and I were still buying those retail. And we didn't buy them from Phantom because like the guy Scotty, the guy that we bought them from at Wholesale Fireworks Outlet, he's a world-class XCal guy through and through. And he sold us our first couple of boxes of XCals. We loved him to death. And that's what we used for a while. But then when they I can't remember what year it was, but they nerfed it and it just wasn't that great. And the prices went up. And then he kind of talked us into the Lock and Loads. And I'm like, they were great. Like they served the purpose wonderfully. So I guess all of this said, even when you have creative substitutions, this wasn't that at all, because our 1 3/4 finale at the lake that goes up after the Pyro musical, it's not like there's nothing, it's not supposed to be creative. It's just supposed to be
intense.
Yeah, it's a finale, and it's like,
it's just a finale.
It's just a finale.
It's just a finale. Finale's a finale.
It's just a bunch of shells. It's sky puke is all it is. And if you can manage that without getting to a point where you put a bunch of total garbage shells in and they're just total junk, then sure, that might be a great place where you can substitute and provide yourself a cost savings at the same time.
I guess depending what kind of finale you're going for.
True.
Other than that, I agree.
Yeah, right. If you want to feature the shells, or if you're fanning the shells, or you want a certain look to it, then for sure you have to get particular about what's loaded in the guns.
Yeah, at least I don't know. Depends, because certain brands like the Nishiki Blast, like you said, every one of them has Nishiki. It has some kind of color to it to add with it.
Right.
So you can use those, but if you use what you're talking about, Excaliburs or the other ones where it's we're guessing here, pull the wrapper off because that's about as best a guess you're going to get.
Right.
Jamie, you ever come across anything else besides your falling leaves? I know there's stories, so.
There's a lot of them.
I know. That's why. I know. You're all quiet again. Spit it
Just
all
listen
over
to
me.
you two. Are you talking about my product that is, mislabeled or wrong and things like that? Or are you talking about substitutions because I didn't get something?
Substitutions because you didn't get something.
Okay. Because I have lots of issues where the product's mislabeled.
Man, oh man. Do I do a very poor job of explaining this stuff? I feel like I do. An hour and a half in. What are we talking about? What do you mean by substitutions? Is that you, AJ? Hold on. Let me check my headphones here.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Anytime you had to experience a change, whether you couldn't get something and it was close to
I understood
showtime,
the
or
question.
Yeah.
AJ asked me the question and he didn't ask it the same way.
I thought after us
Not
talking
doing
for
it
so long
right.
that you would already know.
I have plenty of them, but you asked me about any other stuff that was mislabeled. I know
didn't
you
say
got
that.
a lot of stories.
I didn't say that.
Yes, you did.
I didn't say play it back,
We'll find out
Bo.
on Friday.
I said, Jamie, do you have any other stories where you had to substitute something?
Yeah, I've got tons of them. I've had to substitute 9-foot gerbs for 6-foot gerbs. I guess it would be 6 meter, not 9 meter. And then, I had to go through and change all that. I've had to change out, just last year, I didn't have somebody scripted 22 millimeter white mines, and I didn't have any 22 millimeter white mines. So I had to change those. But I had a variety of things that worked. I have a nice inventory. I have a tendency to script what I have to avoid those substitution issues. And the sad thing is they still come up. It's like, oh, what happened? So I have a tendency to be able to think pretty quickly on my feet. And then at the end of the day, I don't really care. It goes up. But
Cake's a cake.
a cake's a cake. Comet's a comet.
Gerb's a gerb. A gerb's a gerb.
Gerb's a gerb.
A gerb is a gerb.
So I like to script what I have on hand or know that I can get and go ahead and, order it right then and there. I don't like to script at the last minute and then order everything and I'm like, I hope it gets here. I stress out too much. So that's why I normally, this year, I just had too much going on between my job and everything else that I didn't have my show started. And it's April. And I'm like, you know what? This year's not going to happen. And, I had plenty of product. Normally I start scripting my show in February, March. And then, when April comes, it's find the product time that I'm missing, things like that. And I hadn't even got to the point of finding music. So, I was like, I'm not doing it. But always having stuff, people to find it from, knowing people say, hey, this is what I got. A lot of your vendors, you can call them up and say, hey, I've got this effect. I can't find it anywhere. a lot of them will recommend something that's similar to that effect. It's pretty simple to substitute if you got time. Now, if it's a last minute thing, because you scripted your show in June, yeah, it might be a different story. So that's where you got to think on your feet. Find something, change your script a little bit, or just suffer the consequences of you're going to have a green peony instead of a red one. It goes boom, nobody's going to know except for you.
Yeah.
But that's your biggest critic.
Other than you.
What does that mean?
Yeah, it looks great, but maybe change all of that.
I don't.
Have you guys ever made creative substitutions? So substitutions that you just decided, you know what? I
don't want to do that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think this looks all that great. So
how about spray painting a tower and using UV lights on it?
And that was bad. That
was one day before shoot site, and let's say, hey, let's go to the store and buy some neon paint.
Mm-hmm.
I got an idea, guys. We're already way behind. We've been up way late from running around.
I got an idea.
I got another.
It's going to be great.
Let's do some more work.
You're going to love it. It wasn't more work. It was more work for me.
I've never regretted.
That's not more work.
I've regretted not putting a GoPro up on the tower. I wish we would have had something up there along with like a little UV light. Oh man, that would have been so cool. Because you just can't see it. You can't see it in any of the wide angle lenses, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And it looks so good though.
You got a couple good pictures of it.
Yeah, it looked great, man. I thought that so fit the theme. That so fit the theme. It was awesome too because you like
115
sign.
Maxis, look.
You know, I've made decisions after going to like the tree farm show, the very first one we did.
Will you burn the tree down?
Oh my God, I didn't burn a tree down. Told you, someone even came back and bought that tree because they wanted it. All right,
so how do you substitute that?
Made me feel good. Wow. Anyways, so when I got there, I was like, some of these angles with what I have, I'm a little sketchy. So because I'd never been there, from looking at it from a view above and then getting there, you're like, okay. So I had to change some of the angles, but I wanted to make sure that the shape at least looked like a shape instead of just like grabbing it and lifting the tube up 10 degrees.
Yeah.
So I had my computer there and did something to see what it would look like and had to change 9 items completely. So that was kind of like, all right, it's already on the ground. Now we got to find these cues and change all these tubes. And it was originally, one of them was supposed to look like a Christmas tree.
Yeah.
And it didn't look like a Christmas tree because of all the angles had to go up higher.
Right.
So it looked like a Charlie Brown Christmas tree?
No, it just looked like a pyramid.
I had to do the same thing because the trees keep on growing higher and higher at my shoot site every year.
But he just basically shot in a forest, but the forest is how the person makes their money. So none of us have it that hard.
Wish for the best.
I didn't shoot it in there. It fell in there, okay?
It wasn't me. It was Doug.
No, it was 1-4. Hey man, those long duration meteors, they burn. It was set a warning.
All else fails. Blame Doug.
No.
Any other prerequisites, Mr. Plata? You don't have any of these trees soaked in kerosene.
Hey, at least I don't actually just shoot them into trees and play pinball all the time.
Yeah.
Like I want to do what I want to do.
That's creative.
Do what I want to do.
That's creative.
I don't care.
Bounce.
Oh, do you have the little Cartman thing? I don't care.
Yeah.
Do what I want.
Do what I want.
You guys, I'm going home. Let's see. Okay, I think that's probably it for substitutions. I think.
Muy bien.
You guys got anything else for substitutions?
What about when you got a crew member who doesn't show up?
Oh, you substitute them with a family member from the audience. Hey, you look like a capable body. You look to be breathing, and you have 2 hands.
Exactly. Let me see your right hand. Let me see
Jamie
your
heard
left
the word
hand.
substitute. He forgot the word product that you said earlier.
Yeah. When I tell you to plug this end of the cable into the slat and this end of the cable into the module, you do what? Perfect. You're hired.
How do you
Here's
spell
a
Cobra?
9-volt.
Which
I
is
need
to
you
say
lay
you
down
get
right
no
here.
payment whatsoever.
Can you spell Cobra? Yes, you're hired.
Hello, no one is available to take your call.
Why don't you ever pick up the phone? I've got something to rescue. Right what's in your brain?
Guys, there's so much knowledge in here.
Ready, and I'll give it to me.
Oh, God, man, that Michelob, I drank that itty bitty bit at the bottom of my Michelob Ultra. Oh God, that was nasty. It's been sitting for a minute.
Oh, I'll wait. Go get another beer. You can't do that to yourself. Go get
Took the
another
bottom
one.
of the bottle of wine with all the gunk at the bottom.
Okay, we got one voicemail this week from a Nano Miss and Child.
All right, boys, here's the deal. Driving down the street, just picked my kid up from school, talking pyro on the way home from school, and he's got a dadgum question for y'all. Son, what you got?
How old are each of y'all?
There you go. We're talking about the show, and we're talking pyro, and he just wants to know how old you are. So what you got, boys? Let the kid know.
I look forward to acting this immature when I'm their age, Dad. I just want to know. I just want to know when that cutoff line is. It's when is
What age do you identify as? AJ?
Yeah, right. Yeah, I think the oldest should go first.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah, AJ.
Jamie's like a week younger.
No,
okay,
it doesn't matter. You're older.
You're the middle child. How do you feel?
I'm the middle child. I get everything. Right? I'm the one that's overlooked.
Oh my God.
It's true. You get it. Now
Mom
you see.
and Dad never
Now
paid
it
much
makes
attention to him.
sense.
Oh my God.
Okay, how old are you, idiot?
That's funny. I almost said 44. Because I'm 42.
Wow, and I'm bad at math.
Yeah, I know. Well, no, because in my head I wanted to say a higher number because I'm 42, but I feel like I'm 52. But my maturity level is like 22.
More like 12.
But my responsibility level is like in between there. So
Between 12 and 22?
That was a very detailed answer. The kid just wants to know how old you are.
well, I just wanted to let him know that, as
Next
he's growing
week's
up and he's
question,
like,
so how
I'm
old
I
still
feel like
acting immature. It's
I feel like I
normal.
want to explain this to you so this is justifiable and understandable. I want you to understand why we're idiots and we're so
Exactly.
dumb.
I
But
want to know a little more
I need
about
to give
us,
you
like-
I'm
context.
42, but I substitute my age with.
Yeah. I'm 42.
All right, so if you're
my body
42, then
identifies as
Jamie.
52.
All right, Jamie, you're 42 as well. Then
By default, I'm 42, but younger than AJ.
By a week. And
And Baby
2 days?
Bo.
baby
Week
Bo,
and 3
I'm
days.
39. 39. Big 4-0s coming up this year.
We're going to have black fireworks in honor of Bo.
Black fireworks. Perfect. That sounds very inexpensive.
Very inexpensive.
Very inexpensive.
All right, look up.
Hey, you know what?
Ready?
I'm on a budget
Light some
now.
firecrackers. See them?
So wherever we hold
budgets.
the party, we should do that. Wherever we hold the party, I tell the business owner we're going to have black fireworks and watch them freak out. And then in reality, there is no fireworks. Get it? It's black. See, dude, we told you there's nothing to worry about.
Trust me, man. Close your eyes. Pop, 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 pop. See them?
Use your imagination, bro.
Come on, man.
You know, bring a 70-inch TV in the bed of the truck and just play finale simulations. And everybody sit in lawn chairs in Marion's parking lot.
For some reason, I visualized him driving down the road listening to us. Or actually, no, they said they were talking. I don't know if he listens to
So they were
us
talking to
with them.
We were talking to
But
Pyro.
if they do, I can just imagine him driving down the road and him and Dad listening to us and listening to the Girth episode or something. Because when Chasen listened to it, he came back. He's like, Dad, you guys were cracking me up.
Do you ever feel bad when you look at your kid and go, you shouldn't be listening to this?
He's 13, dude.
You shouldn't be listening to this.
What does that mean?
So it's kind of funny though, because like that's one of the funny ones when his friends come over and stuff. They're like, "Hey, Mr. Plata, are you going to do another episode?" Like, and I'm like, "Oh my god."
Oh my god.
So it is a little comical, but so like I'm visualizing him conversation, that kind of thing, and like the same thing that I'm talking to my son about. I don't know how old that kid is though. So
I don't know if my mom's gotten to that episode yet. I've gotten a couple of phone calls because Dad will make her listen to it when they take trips back and forth to Illinois. So I think they'll get, it's like a 5 hour and 45-minute drive, I think, for them. So they'll do
2 episodes.
They'll do like 2 or 3 episodes because there's only so much they can take before my mom's like, this is so stupid. I'm
going to kill you, Brett.
Turn the Eagles on, or
well, if you're listening right now, how you doing, Mrs. Domasek?
Yeah, don't hold your breath.
Huey Lewis and
don't hold your breath. I like to think that they were driving down the road listening to the podcast, and the kid was just like, "Dad, this is too much stupid." How old are these guys? Because they don't.
What? We need to tell them this too. We grew up with the Beavis and Butthead in the Ren and Stimpy years, so
yeah. Yeah, we're a product of our environment.
And if you go back and watch some of that stuff now, you're like, what the? Exactly. Dude, Ren and Stimpy was very bad.
Yeah, it was. Remember, that used to be on...
what
they used to... So it wasn't the one on Nickelodeon that was bad, even though that one was really gross. Because they had like the still images that somebody would get really artsy fartsy with. I cannot believe an editor would look at the submitted artwork to some of that stuff and be like, yeah, this is okay by Nickelodeon standards. Sure, we'll air it. But when it went to, was it Adult Swim? I don't know when it went to Adult Swim on Cartoon Network, whatever, but it got really, really raunchy.
Yeah.
There you go. Give the kids ideas.
Yeah,
give the kids ideas.
I'm like, no.
Dad, what's Ren and Stimpy?
What's Eon Flux? Beep that out, please.
What's Adult Swim?
What's Adult Swim? Do we get that channel? Is that the fuzzy one? All right, never mind. Avoid that rabbit.
Stay away from that conversation. That
Avoid
makes
that
us feel
rabbit
older.
too. All right. I think that's it. Hold on. When do you guys want to record the bonus episode? I need to schedule that.
I gotta check with my job.
Oh my God.
I'm going to go talk to the excavator.
Go talk to your boss. Go to the mirror.
Yeah.
It was too easy. Sorry. I had
Give
to.
yourself a script to read.
I mean, I'm pretty open.
I think it's going to be
topic tonight.
Yeah, it'll be John and Jason are going to be the guests.
What are you guys doing Sunday?
I don't know. I got to get a hold of them first. I just wanted to see because it's got to air this month. So in a perfect world, I'd like to air it on as far away from a Friday as possible. I just don't know when to track it. It's got to be sooner rather than later. So John and Jason, I'll reach out and we'll talk.
Yeah, I think ultimately it depends on what works for those two, right?
Yeah.
Are they in the same time zone?
Believe yes. Yeah. It's us or AJ.
Well,
Who cares about
it's
AJ?
me. Oh, wow. Am I doing picking on me?
Because you're so old.
Oh, yeah.
Start saying specifically.
Old man. Stop talking about it.
Yeah,
Stop talking about it.